This is the Tom Bigby Tales, and I'm your host, Shannon Evans. I write about a small town in northeast Mississippi on the Tom Bigby River called Columbus. And sometimes I write about the rest of the state. This episode will be short. I'm actually in the middle of some extensive research on another project, but this has been blowing up my inbox, and so I wanted to share this. There are a couple of things that happened at Heritage. Apparently, there was a data breach of Power School. However, that was not specific to Heritage. And then they are having a fundraiser, um, hopefully to fix the bathroom latches and a few other items at the school, maybe even to lock down their own um, data sources. But I digress. This episode is entitled Heritage Academy Expose, Episode 23, The Rigging of the Review. Beauty Review is a huge event at Heritage Academy each spring. The young ladies look lovely in evening gowns and heels, and the young men are handsome in their tuxedos. The students are allowed to enter the pageant once they reach 10th grade. Mrs. Fields, a local piano teacher with many years of work with the Heritage Youth, organizes the event and coaches the students several weeks before the show. She has trained local pageant participants on a private basis for many years. Several of her trainees have gone on to place or win at the regional and state level, so it is logical that Mrs. Field oversees this event at Heritage. But to my understanding, she's not a volunteer. She makes her payment out of the door proceeds. I'm not clear on if she gets all the take or just a large percentage. So she's not doing this as a volunteer. She's getting paid. The MC is often the former art teacher, Brad Kidder. It is a community affair for sure and is well attended by the participants' friends, parents, grandparents, and extended family. Everyone dresses up and it's a big to-do each spring. Imagine my shock and surprise when I was sent information about the beauty review being allegedly rigged to benefit the Heritage royalty. We've discussed at length who is the Heritage royalty. I won't digress into that too much. But I can't say I'm totally surprised. However, it is disappointing to say the least that if this is so. Apparently, the judges for the event are innocent third-party entities who have no connection to the students or the school. Often, the judges are from Mississippi State University, East Mississippi Community College, and Mississippi University for Women, and they are from modeling-related organizations within those colleges. They are usually seasoned judges in the pageant and modeling world, locally at least. Scoring is done in ink on score sheets with specific attributes for selection like poise and posture at most events like this. It is done in ink to prevent vote tampering at normal pageants, not only to receive the judge's true first impression score, but to make sure the judges themselves don't see other contestants later and go back and change their mind about previous contestants. The score sheets or ballots are then collected, collated, and then the pool of participants is pared down to the top 10 or the top 5, depending on how many participants there are. Then those participants compete against each other in a fresh round of fresh ballots or score sheets. The highest score, of course, will win. Everything at Heritage Beauty Review, where ballots are scored, are done in pencil, and this is important later. Beauty Review is usually a 1.5 to 2 hour maximum event. A reasonable time to enjoy an evening out and support the students brave enough to walk the runway and strut their stuff for someone to judge. 3 years ago, according to participants, the pageant was excessively long and participants and the audience were ready to walk out after hour 3. What was taking so long? Well, finally, the ballots were done for the top 5 and the top 5 were announced. And Mrs. Field gets really red-faced and appears really angry. Allegedly, someone or someone's was on the top 5 who allegedly should not have been there. Mrs. Field went down, took the score sheets from the judges. The curtains were shut. The students were sent to the back. and everyone waited some more while Mrs. Fields went backstage with the score sheets. The crowd, the MC, and the participants were confused and said, asking each other, what on earth is going on? I've been told that many of the girls saw Mrs. Fields go into a room backstage with the sheets in hand and started crossing out names. She then sent a message to dismiss the judges. All the contestants were called back to the stage and the curtains were opened, and the top five were announced again, a different top five. This time with several new additions and bitterly disappointed previous selected top five members now removed from the group and left with the greater group. While rigging the top five for the beauty review is quite obvious in this event, what is most disheartening is that these kids who poured their hearts out into the event. How disappointing that the adults in charge had such little oversight and allegedly manipulate the outcome each year to benefit certain children more than others who are equally as invested in this event. It would seem that this is one more space where Heritage should look more carefully into the less than transparent processes and events that negatively impacted these students and will impact students in the future in similar events. If the school motto includes high moral standards, perhaps they should start with the moral turpitude of the adults who are teaching and guiding and supporting the children in all endeavors, not just in the classroom. According to multiple parents who messaged me, after beauty review was over that year, several participants went to the office to check their beauty review ballot scores. It was obvious to each of the participants numbers had been erased and replaced with lower numbers. Why? Because this is heritage, where some are more equal than others. I want to thank you for coming on my short episode of Tom Bigby Tales. Until next time.